Dive into the heart of Boston's unseen mysteries, where pride meets the pulse of a city rocked by the disappearance of young Amanda McCready. Join private detective Patrick Kenzie and his partner Angie Gennaro in a relentless quest, navigating through a web of deception, crime, and moral dilemmas. As the layers of conspiracy unravel, decisions with profound consequences scream in the shadows of this captivating noir. Are the detectives uncovering the truth, or are they unwittingly becoming pawns in a sinister game? Brace yourself for a thrilling journey where the line between justice and morality blurs, leaving you questioning every twist and turn. Let's dive into Gone Baby Gone. The movie begins in Boston, a city pulsating with its own unique energy. Is a place where pride runs deep in the veins of its inhabitants. But one fateful day, the very essence of Boston is rattled to its core when Amanda McCready, a young girl, vanishes into thin air, leaving only the haunting image of her clutching her beloved doll, Mirabelle. In the quaint abode of private detective Patrick Kenzie and his partner Angie Gennaro, the unsettling news unfolds on their television screen. Captain Jack Doyle, the determined leader of the Missing Child Division, vows resolutely to the media that the search for Amanda will not end in failure. The next morning brings Lionel and B. McCready to Patrick and Angie's doorstep, seeking aid in the desperate quest to find Amanda. Lionel, Amanda's uncle, appears hesitant about involving Patrick, while B is visibly anguished by Amanda's disappearance. Initially reluctant, Patrick and Angie grapple with the unfamiliar territory of a case like this. B recounts the evening Amanda went missing, sharing that Helene, the girl's mother, had put her to bed before leaving for a friend's house. B subtly hints at Helene's questionable character, but Lionel defends his sister, acknowledging his own past mistakes. After persistent persuasion, Lionel and B convince the reluctant detectives to meet Helene at the McCready residence. Patrick and Angie debate the decision, with Angie expressing apprehension about discovering the child in a tragic state. Despite their reservations, they enter a home marred by tension, where Helene shows a shocking lack of concern for her missing daughter. In the midst of a heated argument between Lionel and Helene, B ushers everyone but Helene into the hallway, revealing a poignant picture of Amanda. Desperation in her eyes, B implores Patrick and Angie to help find her niece. Touched by the sincerity, the detectives accept the case and begin their inquiry. Lionel discloses that Helene frequents a bar named Fillmore Lounge, highlighting the stark contrast in their lifestyles. Lionel, a 23-year sober individual, and Helene, entrenched in a daily routine of alcohol and drugs. The stage is set for Patrick and Angie to navigate the complexities of a case that transcends the boundaries of their past experiences. Still within the confines of the McCready residence, Patrick and Angie find themselves face to face with the formidable Captain Jack Doyle. He challenges their suitability for the task at hand, underscoring the grim reality that 3 days have already slipped by, a critical time frame where the odds of locating the missing child plummet. Despite the skepticism, Captain Doyle promises to keep them in the loop through 2 of his detectives. Eager to unravel the mystery, Patrick and Angie venture to the Fillmore Lounge, a place that holds potential clues. Their initial encounter with the bartender is met with a defensive hostility, prompting them to order drinks. As they navigate the tense atmosphere, Patrick recognizes an old acquaintance, Steve. Seated at a table, Patrick extracts information about Helene, discovering a shocking revelation. She spent over 2 hours at the lounge, indulging in cocaine with her boyfriend, Ray Lekansky. Tensions escalate when a burly man interjects, prompting a heated confrontation. The situation intensifies as the man's companion locks the door, and Patrick, with a bold move, brandishes his gun, demanding an exit. The standoff concludes with the burly man begrudgingly allowing them to leaving Patrick with the parting satisfaction of delivering a well-deserved blow. Their next destination is a meeting with Sergeant Detective Remy Bresson and his partner Nick at a local restaurant. As introductions unfold, the seasoned cops unveil the prime suspects in the abduction case: Corwin Earl, Leon Trett, and Roberta Trett, setting the stage for Patrick and Angie to plunge deeper into a web of intrigue and danger. Corwin, with his unsettling predilection for children, resides with the Trett couple, known for their struggles with substance abuse. However, Nick sheds light on the frailties in the theory implicating Corwin in Amanda's disappearance. Patrick redirects the focus toward Ray Lekansky, proposing they explore that avenue. Remy and Nick draw a blank on Ray Lekansky, leaving the quartet without a clear suspect. Undeterred, they revisit Helene, seeking answers. Prior to their encounter with Helene, Patrick and Angie make a pit stop at Bubba's, a connection in the criminal underworld. Inquiring about the suspects, Patrick discovers that Ray had ties to a rival drug lord, Jean-Baptiste. Armed with this newfound lead, they head to Helene's residence. At the McCready home, Remy and Nick grill Helene about her association with Cheese, a Haitian drug lord. After a tense exchange, Helene unveils a startling revelation. She and Ray were drug mules for Cheese, having pilfered $130,000. The money, she confesses, is with Ray and Chelsea. Without hesitation, the private investigators and the police embark on a journey to Chelsea. In Patrick's car, he strategically builds rapport with Helene, coaxing her to share more about the night Amanda disappeared. Angie, growing frustrated with Helene's self-centered demeanor, questions why she never sought help or contacted Cheese to retrieve her daughter. Patrick, sensing a hidden truth, prods Helene about the money's whereabouts. She admits to concealing it, revealing that Ray doesn't possess the funds. Upon reaching Ray's location, a grisly scene unfolds. Ray, tied to a chair, lifeless and bearing the marks of torture. It becomes evident that Cheese's enforcer executed him, doubting Ray's claim of ignorance regarding the money's location. Shell-shocked by the discovery, Helene retreats to the backyard. Patrick follows, urging her to disclose the money's location. Reluctantly, she unveils its burial site. As they unearth the cash, deliberations ensue on their next course of action. Angie suggests involving the FBI, but Remy dismisses the idea, clarifying that kidnapping isn't confirmed until a ransom note surfaces. Remy proposes a daring plan, swapping the money for Amanda directly with Cheese, setting the stage for a high-stakes confrontation. Returning Helene to her residence, the weight of the situation bears down on them. At the doorstep, Helene succumbs to tears, and Patrick, offering solace, holds her close. In a moment of vulnerability, Helene earnestly vows to change her ways and abandon the destructive path of drug use, emphasizing her desperate desire to bring Amanda home. As night falls, Patrick and Angie rendezvous with Remy and Nick outside Cheese's clandestine hideout. A dispute unfolds over who should confront Cheese. Patrick argues that a police presence might spook Cheese, proposing that he and Angie take the lead. Reluctantly, the officers concede, allowing the private investigators to take center stage. Within the hideout, Patrick and Angie face Cheese and his formidable right-hand man, Chris. Patrick, familiar with both figures, gains an audience with Cheese. He unravels the tangled web of Ray, the stolen money, and Amanda's disappearance. Cheese initially feigns ignorance, prompting Patrick to escalate the confrontation. Tensions reach a climax when Cheese brandishes a gun, suspecting wiretapping. After a careful inspection, Cheese concedes to his involvement in Ray's demise but vehemently denies any connection to Amanda. With no breakthrough, Patrick and Angie exit the room, meeting a disappointed Remy and Nick. The night takes an unexpected turn when Remy contacts them, revealing Cheese's willingness to negotiate for Amanda's release. However, a complication arises. The station recorded the call without Captain Jack Doyle's knowledge. Worse yet, Doyle now possesses evidence of the impending exchange, complicating an already delicate situation. The unfolding events thrust Patrick, Angie, and the officers into a precarious position, teetering on the brink of exposure and jeopardizing the desperate quest to reunite Amanda with her distraught family. Angie discovers a chilling package in the mail, a pink blanket accompanied by a note from the drug lord. Meanwhile, at the station, Captain Doyle is incensed to learn about Remy's unsanctioned deal with Cheese. Despite the breach, they press forward with the exchange to safeguard Amanda. Captain Doyle hands Patrick the transcript of the call, outlining Cheese's demand for a meeting at a lake. Remy briefs Patrick and Angie on the plan. Cheese wants them separated, with Patrick and Angie taking Amanda while the cops handle the money across the lake. Angie contemplates going public with the situation, but Captain Doyle, revealing the tragic loss of his own daughter to abduction, advises against it. The exchange unfolds at a quarry, and unease permeates Patrick as shots ring out in the distance. Rushing to the scene, they find Cheese dead, and Angie dives into the water, retrieving Amanda's belongings but not the child herself. In the hospital, Patrick and Angie discuss the futile search for Amanda. Despite divers scouring the lake, Amanda's fate remains uncertain. The search is eventually called off and Amanda is declared dead. Captain Doyle retires, and Chris, Cheese's right-hand man, meets an unknown fate. The ordeal leaves Patrick and Angie profoundly affected. Months later, another child, Johnny Pietro, goes missing, wearing a distinctive St. Christopher's medallion. Patrick, already haunted by the past, sinks deeper into despair. Bubba takes Patrick to the suspect's residence, Corwin Earl, Leon Trett, and Roberta Trett. Inside, Leon grants them entry under the guise of a drug deal. As Bubba inspects the house, Roberta indulges in the sampled drugs, setting the stage for a new chapter fraught with tension and uncertainty. Roberta Trett becomes agitated and brandishes a gun at Bubba as he attempts to ascend the stairs. In a sudden turn of events, Corwin Earl emerges from the second-floor room, wearing the same St. Christopher's medallion last seen on Johnny Pietro. Bubba hastily hands over the drugs and he and Patrick exit. Later, Patrick discreetly informs Remy about Corwin's location. Remy, Nick, and Patrick return armed, wearing bulletproof vests. Remy and Nick instruct Patrick to stay outside. Remy ventures to the back and Nick approaches the front door. Abruptly, a shot rings out, striking Nick in the neck and causing him to collapse. Patrick rushes to stop the bleeding, but gunfire continues. Patrick makes a crucial decision, pulling out his gun and entering the house. Inside, he discovers Leon's lifeless body, and as he investigates, is confronted by Roberta. They exchange gunfire, and Patrick manages to reach the second floor, barricading the door to keep Roberta out. On the second floor, Patrick encounters a devastated Corwin. As Patrick explains the accidental nature of the situation, he ventures further into the room, finding Johnny Pietro's lifeless body in the bathtub. Enraged, Patrick shoots Corwin in the head. Remy opens the door, stepping over Roberta's body. At the hospital, Nick is in critical condition, and Patrick is haunted by guilt over Corwin's death. Angie tries to console him, expressing pride in his actions. Remy asserts that shooting Corwin was the right move. In a drunken revelation, Remy discloses his past involvement in planting evidence and his FBI informant, Ray Lekansky. Returning home, Patrick reveals Remy's lie about not knowing Ray to Angie, sparking suspicion. They later learn of Nick's death. At Nick's funeral, Patrick confronts Remy about the deception, receiving a subtle threat. Seeking clarity, Patrick approaches Devin, a close police acquaintance, during a lunch invitation. Devin discloses that Remy somehow knew about Cheese's robbery before Cheese himself did, but warns against probing into police matters. Patrick shares a theory with Angie about Remy and Lionel conspiring to stage a fake kidnapping for their gain, using drug money while teaching Helene a lesson. Confronting Lionel in a bar, Patrick deduces the truth. Lionel admits to the plot, asserting that Amanda's death in the lake was unintended, an accidental outcome they never foresaw. The revelations plunge Patrick into a deeper abyss of conflicting emotions and moral quandaries. In a sudden twist, Remy enters the bar masked, declaring a robbery. His gun is aimed squarely at Lionel, revealing a sinister intention to kill him. Lionel confesses that he previously informed them that Amanda had fallen into the lake. Remy appears to reconsider, but before he can retreat, the bartender shoots him twice. Remy flees, prompting Patrick to give chase. Patrick catches up with Remy on the rooftop of an empty building, finding him already bleeding profusely. Subsequently, the police question Patrick about Remy's demise, revealing a lack of the phone transcript mentioned by Doyle. Suspecting Doyle's involvement, Patrick heads to Doyle's retirement home with Angie. However, Angie chooses not to confront Doyle, staying behind. At Doyle's residence, Patrick witnesses Doyle preparing to leave. Amanda emerges from the house and runs to Doyle. Despite Patrick's shock, he threatens to report Doyle to the police. Doyle argues that letting Amanda stay with him is in her best interest, given her mother's mistreatment. Patrick contends that Amanda belongs with her mother, Helene, presenting a moral dilemma. Unable to decide, Patrick seeks Angie's advice. Angie suggests letting Doyle keep Amanda, fearing Helene's wrath if Amanda is returned to her. Despite this, Patrick decides to report Doyle to the police. Within minutes, the police arrive to arrest Doyle. Living alone and heartbroken over Angie leaving, Patrick observes the aftermath. Helene regains custody of Amanda, but Lionel is incarcerated, and Baya has banned Helene from her home. During a visit to Helene and Amanda, Patrick notices Helene's unchanged demeanor, reveling in media attention as a victimized mother. However, he observes that her apartment is at least cleaner. As Helene leaves for a date without arranging a babysitter, Patrick volunteers. Alone in the living room, he queries Amanda about her doll Mirabelle. To his surprise, Amanda corrects him, stating her doll's name is Annabelle. The revelation implies that Helene doesn't even know her daughter's favorite toy's name. A sense of unease envelops Patrick as he questions whether he made the right choice. Wrapping up our journey through the intense Gone Baby Gone. How did the moral dilemmas in Gone Baby Gone impact your perception of justice? In what ways does the film navigate the complexities of morality and decision-making? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your participation keeps the movie magic alive. If you relish this recap, don't forget to hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up for more enchanting content. Thanks for watching.